As always, our ACC power rankings are indisputable, but can any underdog spoil the party this weekend?
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thought with Clemson and Pitt both losing last weekend, it's time to kind of shake up our ACC power rankings as we head into week 11 of the college football schedule. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This Friday episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We'll talk about possible Week 11 upsets as we head into a schedule where we've got 6 games involving ACC teams this weekend. We'll talk about the top 10 quarterbacks in the ACC. That'll be another power ranking we have. But Kenton Gibbs, we will start with our ACC power rankings because, again, things got shaken up a little bit where we had, last weekend, 4 teams that were unbeaten in conference. We knew somebody's had to go between Pittsburgh and SMU, and we weren't really expecting Clemson to lose at home, even though, Louisville's got a very good team. So the rankings get shaken up a little bit here.
Oh, absolutely. Why wouldn't they be? I was rocking with Pitt because Pitt was undefeated, and they had shown me nothing but, hey, we'll find a way. We will always find a way. They didn't in that one. So, naturally, you have to look at them a little differently. And Clemson, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, I think it's time to watch the party die because the party of national relevance for Clemson, I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. When they came out here and won all those games back-to-back, whooping the wheels off folks, I said, okay, this is who they are. That game was an exception. Not so fast, my friend. So, yes, some power rankings need a little bit of straightening.
Yeah, so the last time we did a power ranking, which was a few weeks ago, we actually, just because, again, it's a power ranking, so, record obviously does play a part in it, but we had actually had Clemson ranked above Miami last time around. No longer. Clemson has fallen on this one. The Miami Hurricanes are number 1 in the power ranking, and Kenton, they're the only undefeated team overall in the ACC right now. With a 9-0 record. They've got a quarterback who's now the sole Heisman Trophy favorite. Cam Ward is now plus 185. He's ahead of he's ahead of Travis Hunter on that Heisman. Obviously, we still have a few weeks away before we're talking about who's going to New York, but Miami's got the number 1 offense in the country. Their defense has struggled at times, but they've made big plays when they've needed to. So the Hurricanes are number 1. And then the other team who controls their own destiny to play for a conference championship are the SMU Mustangs. We've got SMU number 2. Let me give you 3 and 4, then we can digest this a little bit. So, again, since this is a power ranking, and obviously overall records matter, but head-to-head I think matters probably even more. So we've ranked Louisville at number 3, a spot ahead of Clemson, despite Louisville having lost an extra game this year compared to Clemson, because that Louisville Cardinals team just went into Death Valley for a night game. Clemson hadn't lost in, I think, 11 years at home at night, and Louisville went in there and outplayed them and got it done. So we've got Louisville at number 3, and Clemson falls from number 1 in our previous ranking down to number 4.
Let me tell you something. When you go into somebody's crib, spank that baby and put him to sleep, well, you're going to get your love here. You're going to get your respect here. The games have to mean something, which is something Donald and I say a lot, and head-to-head has to matter. Unless you two are on diametrically opposed sides, like obviously had Florida State come up with a way to beat Miami, we wouldn't have been like, oh, Florida State's number 1 now because they beat number 1. But in this instance, Louisville and Clemson were close enough to where this win for Louisville showed us this is the Louisville team that we've been waiting on. This is the team we believe was possible. And really, this team in certain ways is even better than what we thought was possible because Tyler Shuck didn't have a great game by any stretch of the imagination. No. And yet they still came away with a win at Death Valley. Donald, if somebody had told you Tyler Shuck comes away with no passing touchdowns and a completion percentage under 75%. But Louisville walks out of Clemson that night as a winner. What would you have said?
I would have said Clemson would probably have had just a string of catastrophic turnovers. Now, they did have a couple field goals blocked, but I would have thought this would have just been an absolute, just a folly of self-inflicted errors by Clemson.
Absolutely. I would have called up my grannies because I can't say it properly, but she can. Leave that dope alone. That's what I would have told you. If you Tyler Shuck has no touchdowns, but they come out of that game a winner. So, more power to them. Those guys showed up and showed out.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, so we got Miami, SMU, Louisville, Clemson rounding out the top four. Pittsburgh, they just lost for the first time this past weekend, but a convincing loss against our second-ranked SMU. So Pitt falls to number 5. And then Kent, I've got Syracuse at number 6. Now I know you like to go back and forth with Jackson Holzer. Like we saw that a little bit on the squad. We see a little bit every week, but did I rank Syracuse too high? I mean, they got pounded by Pitt a couple weeks ago. They did bounce back though against Virginia Tech, but Virginia Tech was not at full strength. But still, 6 through 10 was difficult for me, and I think Syracuse, with the resume they have, I put them at number 6 based on some head-to-heads.
Barely beating a team, missing their starting quarterback and running back by the hairs on your chinny chin after a massive comeback in normal circumstances would get your tail knocked right on down. Fortunately for the Orange, we are a fair and honest bunch here on Locked On ACC.
Yeah.
And the two teams directly behind them are in a very similar situation where they're losing, but they're losing because they don't have their guy. They don't have their guys rolling. So they get to stay at 6 for now.
Yeah, and I've got them, and it's primarily based this one on record. I have Syracuse a spot ahead of Duke at number 7, but then the teams you're referring to, Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech comes off that tough loss. Georgia Tech has lost a couple, but that's without players like Haynes King and Jamal Haynes on the Georgia Tech offense, and like Kyron Drones and Bashal Tootin on the Virginia Tech offense.
Yeah, and when I look at this in these power rankings, this is the reason I'm not saying, Syracuse can't be here, and they were dominated by Pitt, and they barely beat handicapped Virginia Tech. At the end of the day, barely beat is still beat. At the end of the day, when you talk about, these guys are out, that guy's out, this team's injury report, at the end of the day, the world does not care about labor pains. Show them the baby. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear about who was available, who wasn't. Everybody's got injuries at this point in time. You got to make it happen. Syracuse has done so at a high enough clip to make sense for them to be there.
Yeah, all right. So the remaining from 10 to 17, North Carolina at number 10, NC State at number 11. They'll have a
vehemently disagree.
That one. Okay, fine. Okay. Boston College at 12. Virginia 13, Wake Forest 14, Cal 15, Stanford 16, and there's one that's left that was preseason number 1. So remind me who's at the dead last in the ACC? Now, technically they're not dead last in the standings because they do have actually a victory over one of the teams in front of them, but you call a spade a spade. This team has quit.
They're the what is it? The Souls or the Noles, the Florida State Seminoles have got to be dead last. I'm gonna tell you this much: War Chant or whoever is putting out those videos of your coach running that race. Do you know how bad it is that this team didn't even get together the next day and say, "All right, we got to redeem ourselves. We got to make it look like everybody still cares."
Yeah,
this is nasty business all the way around. This is. Tallahassee has the nastiest piece of business I've ever seen because I've never seen such a fall off in literally 8 calendar months. I've never seen anything like this. No coach change. Yes, you changed quarterbacks. Yes, there was a lot of roster turnover. But to go from a top 5 to 10 team in the nation, even with the snub, right? Honestly, you were a top 4 team in the nation, but again, the snub puts you at the 5. To go from top 5 team in the nation to 1-8, I've never seen this before.
So, all right, give me your grievance on 10 and 11, where I had UNC 10th, NC State 11th.
All I'm saying is this: NC State is hitting their groove. They're hitting their stride. They're whooping the wheels off of people. I don't understand how you give the nod there to a Dirty Foot Club team that let James Madison hang 70 on them boys. 70. Oh, well, I get it. It was such a long time ago, and everybody's a different team from then. Sure. But with that in mind, is beating Virginia and Florida State in consecutive weeks a needle mover?
It doesn't mean what it used to. I'll give you that. They did beat Florida State more convincingly than Miami and Clemson did, for what that's worth. But maybe Florida State has more given up now than they did in the Clemson and Miami games.
I'll tell you this. Maybe that team is legit. And this isn't even an argument for how good NC State is, because I don't think a 1-point win over Cal, because their kicker botched one of the closest and easiest kicks you could possibly make, or nearly putting up 60 on Stanford mean all that much. I don't. But what I do know is getting 70-pieced by the James Madison Dukes. And you know what's funny? I talk about Florida State not having to fall off after no head coach change, no change in offensive coordinator, all that good stuff. James Madison did have those things because Sig was there last year. James Madison had all those things and hung 70 on you, and we're just like, it's one game. It happens. No, it doesn't. You want to know how much that doesn't happen, Dono?
Yeah.
We all know that 70 is their highest score of the year, but I want you to take a crack at what James Madison's next highest scoring total was this year. And I'll exclude 45? One other game. I'll exclude one other game because they did put up 63 the week after against Ball State, and they're both Group of 5 teams. But other than that one offensive performance outside of North Carolina and Ball State, what do you want to know what their highest of the year was?
I'm going to guess 45.
Wrong, 39.
Oh.
They also only scored 13 points on the mighty Gardner-Webb Bulldogs. They only scored 14 against Georgia Southern.
Well, and the other hilarious thing about, and you've won me over on this, by the way, but the other hilarious thing about JMU hanging up 70 on North Carolina, correct me if I'm wrong, because I watched most of that game, but it was a while ago now.
Yeah.
It was all offensive touchdowns, right? Like they didn't score any defensive respect. Like it was legit. Their offense went out there and scored 10 touchdowns in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
I do believe you're correct, but even if you aren't, here's an even more embarrassing fact about that game, Dono. Here's one that should make them cry, scream, and throw up over there. Oh, they did have one pick six. Here's what's most embarrassing. Okay. Here's what's most embarrassing about that game. They scored 70, right? Even if James Madison did not score another point after half, they still win that game.
Oof.
And you're telling me that listen, I'm not saying NC State is world beaters. I'm just saying I know a team that stinks when I smell them. I know it.
All right. Well, when we come back, not only do we have our quarterback power rankings, but I got a bone to pick with Kenton. We'll explain after this. You want to keep it locked right here on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. I already know you're keeping it locked to LinkedIn Jobs, because when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Locked On College to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. For your next listen, make sure you check out our other shows. Kenton and Grayson do an awesome job hosting Locked On Wolfpack. I host Locked On Canes. Those shows are available like this one free wherever you get your podcasts and free on YouTube. So here's the bone that I have to pick with you, Kenton. When I think you've come around on Miami, but earlier this year, before Miami had faced Virginia Tech, you kept saying Miami hasn't gotten a win against a Power 5 coach who's still going to be employed at the end of the year.
Oh, my God. This is the bone. This is the bone.
This is the bone. The Florida Gators have put the vote of confidence in Billy Napier, who Miami beat convincingly 41-17 week 1. Miami beat Florida more convincingly than I think any other team that they've faced so far this year. Scott Strickland, the athletic director of Florida, made what I think is an excellent decision today to announce the continual employment of Billy Napier. Billy Napier is going to be the Florida head coach, we think, for at least another year. So your comment about Miami at that time not having beaten a Power 5 coach who will still be employed at the end of the season is now deemed factually incorrect.
It was factually incorrect. And you know what? I shouldn't have said that because I can't predict who. It's like if you and your old lady beat another couple down the street at charades, and I mean, y'all whoop the wheels off of you, put laid it on thick. And that couple argues all the time. You know, both of them are cheating on each other constantly, and they hate each other. You could tell they're like Megatron and Optimus Prime. They used to be close, but they hate each other, right? And I said, oh, Dono, that charades game don't count until you beat a couple whose marriage is going to make it to the end of the year. And then we get Christmas pictures from them. Who could have predicted that this was going to happen? That couple shouldn't still be together. But, hey, in the words of Lackawanna Blues, sometimes a coach and an administrator have an understanding that nobody else understands. I'm lying. I misquoted that. The real quote is a man and a woman. But for the sake of the parallels here, the coach and the administrator are the man and the woman here. Just foolishness. Just foolishness. But you were right, Dono. You were right. He is coming back. So I have to eat crow. I will eat one medium done steak to take up for this because I was wrong and I deserve a punishment for that.
How do you usually eat your steak?
Oh, I eat a medium. Yeah, I'm not actually punishing myself. Yeah, I'm the anti-nose 1, 2, 3 guy. That's it. I'm never gonna put up my intestines up to something crazy. Absolutely not. No.
By the way, as soon as I saw the news that the Florida AD, like he endorsed Napier, of course I sent a text to Brandon Olson from Locked On Gators. He's not too happy about it. And then I'm friendly with a couple of other people. I mean, Brandon and I are very tight, but I'm friendly with a couple of other people who cover Florida. Like I went on, I wouldn't call us friends necessarily, but I did make an appearance on the High Top Sports Network, and one of their hosts claiming today that, as soon as Strickland, the Florida AD, said what he said today, that, supposedly this guy is hearing from a bunch of Gators boosters that they're going to be pulling their funds away. So maybe they're going to try to force a move being made with Billy Napier, but we're not here to talk about him any longer. Locked On SEC does a good enough job of that. I'm sure that's a big topic on Chris Gordy's show today. But okay, how about this list of top ACC quarterbacks? I was initially going to do a top 5. I decided to do a top 10. I didn't have the energy to go through because there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in the ACC. There's a lot of really bad quarterbacks, especially in Tallahassee. So I only wanted to take the list so far. Okay. Cam Ward, number 1. I don't think that's disputable at this point.
Not at all.
What about my 2 and 3? Because I could go either way on these and be content with it. I've got Tyler Shuck of Louisville at number 2, and then I've got Kevin Jennings of SMU at number 3. And I know the stats don't necessarily reflect it with Jennings, but his poise, his dual threat capabilities, because he's the third leading rusher among ACC quarterbacks this year. You can obviously see not only the success that SMU is having, but the success that was caused by making the quarterback switch in Kevin Jennings' favor. So I'm comfortable with him being in the top 3, but do you think he could even be number 2 ahead of Shuck?
I would say no, because Shuck's lows are not as bad as Jennings' lows.
Right.
Shuck's lows are like, he missed on some throws, but all in all, he wasn't sharp, but he didn't turn the ball over. Jennings' lows, he was acting like Oprah Winfrey when he was looking at Duke defenders. You get a pick. You get a pick. You get a pick. Hey, do you want one too? You know what? Everybody gets a turnover. It was nasty business in Durham, but they made it out alive. And again, I think that's the delineation for me. Like, I think that at his peak, he's better. I do. I think at Jennings' peak, he's above Shuck. However, it's the same reason I had Louisville ranked where they were in the preseason. I'm not just going off peak. Your valleys have to matter too. And Kevin Jennings' valleys are like, this is unplayable. Like they got to put Preston in at some point.
Okay, that makes sense. So I've got Cade Klubnik at number 4. You know, I know that like it's easy to like drop, you know, the stock for Clemson way down, but Klubnik's having an excellent year statistically, although they didn't really look like they had any answers when they were down double digits against Louisville. But what do you think? You're making some faces at me. What do you think about Klubnik at number 4?
Oh, you're right. I just would like to tell everybody, I know I thought I was wrong, and I will say this. Cade Klubnik is better than I gave him credit for. But the way folks were talking to me about Cade Klubnik, oh, you would have swore the next coming had walked through the door. Oh, now look at you. Crying, screaming, and throwing. Y'all were down double digits and couldn't throw the ball downfield at all. And y'all know how y'all treated me over Cade Klubnik. And the y'all who exist, you know who you are. You know how y'all talk to me week after week. Oh, Cade put up 50 on your boy. Cade was done at halftime against your boys. Now look at you. Unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a little vindicated because, you know, of course, on Locked On Canes especially, I do a lot of episodes about Cam Ward because he's probably the single most exciting player to ever put on a Miami Hurricanes uniform. There's been a lot of them. I don't say that lightly, you know, having seen guys like Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed put the uniform. Like, Cam Ward is absolutely electric. And I've had, you know, throughout the season, I've had comments on, you know, Locked On Canes YouTube from Clemson fans who were like, he's overrated. Cade Klubnik is way better. Look at Cam Ward throwing interceptions. I mean, yeah, Ward, he throws some interceptions. You know, he said it this week that the big thing he wants to continue to improve is his ball security. But, you know, when you get a 5 touchdown performance like you did last week, you can tolerate the 1 interception that he threw. That's the gunslinger mentality from Ward. All right, so let's go 5 through 10 here. Haynes King from Georgia Tech. You know, you see his value. He put up monster numbers last year. You see his value when he's not out there. So he's number 5. Kyle McCord from Syracuse. I've got him at number 6. Kyron Drones, Virginia Tech. I've got him at number 7. And honestly, preseason, I would have told you way higher. He's got a big opportunity against Clemson this weekend. We'll see how he does. CJ Bailey at NC State. I've got him in my top 10 now. He's rising at number 8. Malik Murphy at Duke. I've got him number 9. Fernando Mendoza at Cal. I know Cal has not had ACC success, but it's definitely not Mendoza's fault.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, top 5 passer in the league in terms of passing yards. And here's a very interesting stat that most people would not believe. Of all starting quarterbacks who have started a majority of the season, he has the second highest completion percentage behind only Haynes King.
Whoa.
That's it. That's it. He's completing 68.5% of his balls. What more can you ask of a guy? Especially considering coming into this season, wasn't the word, hey, Jaden Ott is going to be electric. He's going to be dynamic. He's going to be special. They got backs behind Jaden. All you got to do is hand off left, hand off right. Don't turn the ball over. And lo and behold, he's having to carry the whole thing. He's having to carry the entire play. He's looking like one of those waitresses at Chili's when they are bringing out the fajitas with the little sizzling sauce and the triple dipper and the table next to you. He's carrying the whole thing. So man, you got to give Mendoza some love for that.
The other credit that I give to Chili's servers, by the way, a lot of other restaurants, like how, you know, because there are certain restaurants where they'll put your order into like a little touchpad or something. But then there's a lot of restaurants where you've got like a table for 5 and they're remembering that. Like I could never be a server. Like if I can't have a notepad or something, no thanks.
Listen, if I can't tap the app, it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm cooked. Okay, 17 years of playing football, ladies and gentlemen. This brain ain't what it used to be. Okay.
No doubt. All right. Well, I want to look at the schedule for this weekend, ACC football. Who's most likely to pull off an upset win this week? You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Guys, our friends at Robinhood Gold. You do not need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with a Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risks. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. We are also proudly brought to you by the great people at FanDuel. Yes, guys, we've been having fun all season long. You still have 3 or 4 regular season college football games to go. More than half of the NFL season still left to go. Guys, if you're ready to tackle the NFL action this weekend, get it on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you for making Locked On ACC your first listen today. For your next listen, check out Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin does an awesome job hosting that show. Kenton Gibbs also co-hosts a show on that channel. So you guys want to check it out. 3 and Out and all the other great programming on the Locked On College Football channel, available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. All right, so Kenton,
I appreciate that.
3-point stance, my bad. 3 and Out, 3 points.
You knew it was 3 or something. Three's company, it was something with 3. It was something with 3.
And you would think, somebody who covers Miami, I haven't seen a whole lot of 3 and Outs, at least, this year on offense or defense. I haven't seen a whole lot of 3 and Outs.
That's the problem. You ain't seen enough. And you thought it has got to be 3 and Out somewhere around Miami. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not our show, but I appreciate it.
So I look at, there's actually, out of the 6 games involving ACC teams this weekend, only 2 of them have double-digit spreads. Florida State, double-digit underdogs, 26.5-point underdogs at number 10, Notre Dame. I mean, I know Notre Dame people will point this out, they did lose to NIU earlier this year. Mm-hmm. Still, you feel like hell would have to freeze over for Florida State with the way that they've been playing this year to go into South Bend and pull off an upset.
The problem is South Bend might freeze over. And seeing Floridians have to play in a cold South Bend, there's going to be some nasty business there. Yeah, it's going to be tough, to say the least. And not to mention, even if this team was motivated, and the weather might be a factor, this team gave up. They don't give a damn. You get somebody else to do it. You get somebody else to do your stupid race. Get somebody else to fill this B gap. Get somebody else to block this defensive end. Get somebody else to hold on to the ball. Get somebody else to make the right read when the ball is in my hands. Get somebody else to do it. I'm good. So, I don't see a world where Florida State wins this ball game. I could potentially maybe see a world where they cover, but Notre Dame needs style points, and I think they're going to try to run the score up on our friendly old nose.
That's a great point. Yeah, because they don't have a conference to win, so their path to the playoff includes style points. you're 100% right. Then the other game with the double-digit spread is number 4, Miami on the road at Georgia Tech. Hurricanes are favored by 11. Now, here's where, and people can, you can accuse me of being biased or whatever, but I have a hard time, even if Haynes King plays, I have a hard time seeing Georgia Tech pull off this upset. I know what happened last year. I don't expect that sort of a game to play out again. But styles make fights, Kenton. And if Georgia Tech, and maybe they can score some on Miami, a lot of teams have scored on Miami this year, but defensively, it's not Tyler Van Dyke running through that tunnel this year. It's Cam Ward running through that tunnel. And you would feel like for Georgia Tech to actually have a chance to beat Miami through a 4-quarter game, you would need to have a really successful pass rush, and you would need to have a successful passing defense overall. They have neither of those things. Georgia Tech is, against the pass, they're bang average at 59th. It's probably not the sort of pass defense that's going to slow Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo down. And I was looking up their sack stats, Kenton. 126 in the country in sacks this year is Georgia Tech. So that's going to make it really hard, because to beat Miami, even if you can score on Miami's defense, you're going to have to slow down their offense at some point. It's hard for me to see Georgia Tech doing that.
And I don't think that they will. I don't think that they can. I mean, when you look at this team and you say, okay, what have they been from the jump, right? When we look at what Florida State is and knowing who they are now, here's a very interesting fact about that loss that they suffered at the hands of Georgia Tech in game 1. Do you know what Florida State's high score all season is?
I do. It was that game.
It was that game. 21 in that game. Not only that, Georgia Tech's defense over the last 3 games has allowed 34, 24, and 34, 24. I'm sorry. Yes, 34, 31, and 21. So, I mean, I really and truly, don't get me wrong, like allowing 21 against Virginia Tech, good job, way to go. But every other game, they've looked kind of rough down the stretch. And like you said, if you can't generate pressure, if you let Cam Ward sit back there, make a sandwich, check his NIL deals, call his girlfriend, call his side chick, call his agent to see what the NFL is looking like, and they ain't get rid of it, Xavier Restrepo is going to get open. Yeah. Arroyo is going to get open. Brown is going to get up. They have guys everywhere that can get it done. And then if you do too much to try to generate pressure, well, then they've got these pretty big backs that come downhill like, oh, you thought we were going to throw the ball, but actually, here's a 230-pounder for you. Oh, that one's tired? Bring in the smaller back. He's 220 pounds. So, I mean, I think that they're going to have a very tough time in this week.
So, other possible upsets, Virginia, 7.5-point underdogs at Pitt. Pitt looking to bounce back. This is such a close line, but Duke are 3-point underdogs at NC State. Virginia Tech are 6-point underdogs at Clemson. This one's basically a pick 'em. Syracuse, 2-point underdogs on the road at BC. Cal are actually Wake Forest are 7-point underdogs at home against Cal. Out of those other games, who do you think would be more likely to pull out an upset?
I hate to say this. It's probably Duke, because CJ Bailey has been putting up masterclass after masterclass. However, Duke's passing defense is number 1 in the conference. And don't get me wrong. They got absolutely hosed last week, and not hosed by the refs. I mean, they just got whooped. They got, Miami came through and said, hey, we're the number 1 offense. We'll show you why. And Duke has not played a single top 40 passing offense, top 45 passing offense outside of Miami. They haven't played one yet all year.
Oh, yeah.
But Manny Diaz knows how to disguise some coverages. If his defenses can't do nothing else,
quarterback. Yeah.
And that's the problem. Yeah. I have a feeling that we may be in for a CJ Bailey disaster class. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong here. I would love for the Sharps to look at me like, hey, Kenton, you're stupid. You know nothing. We were super right about this game. I'd love to see it. I just have a sneaky feeling, a sneaky suspicion Duke pulls this one out in Raleigh.
Yeah, and on the flip side, if CJ has a really good game, my respect for him, which is already very high, is going to go even higher. So we'll see. We'll see how that one plays
Absolutely.
out. But I hope everyone has a great weekend and enjoys the games coming up. Make sure you check out Kenton and Grayson on Locked On Wolfpack. Follow Kenton on X at TGIF_Kenton. Follow me on X at Alex Dono. Make sure you check out Locked On Canes. And we will talk to you guys again next time on another episode of Locked On ACC, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.